Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Jorge, maybe, from Spain in the 5-minute pool on ICC. Let's play in English against them, and mm, sometimes they do this annoying knight h6 setup. So I hope he doesn't play that because it is irritating to compete against that setup. He might be doing a delayed kingside castling approach. Let's just check who this guy is. Pretty sure I've played him before. Maybe b4 right away. Could be interesting. Yeah, let's gambit a pawn. Let's make it interesting. I definitely played this guy before. His name is not appearing in his finger note, so he is anonymous. But okay, well, castle, probably he castles 2. A lot of times they follow with b6 and try to reinforce c5 quite a few times. Now let's play... Do I want to waste time with rook b1? I think rook b1 is still useful, so let's play it. If b6, maybe b5, and I can do some discoveries, perhaps. He's allowing it, but if b5, knight a5, maybe I don't have anything that good. Because my pawn would be under attack. Also, I can't easily play d3 because my knight is hanging. So maybe I'll prepare d4 in this case. He can play knight f5 if he wants. As a way to discourage me from doing that. Maybe I'll bring the queen to e2. Just develop that and defend the pawn on c4. Probably knight f5 is a good reply. If he does something else, d4 is coming, and I might be able to take over the center. He takes on c3. Okay, interesting decision. So now his dark squares are going to be vulnerable, but he has a better pawn structure. So do I play e5 or e4 rather and try to get my bishop to h6? I think I will. Blocks my bishop, but probably one of my bishops is going to wind up restricted anyways. And I'd very much like to gain some activity. Okay, f6. So he's establishing a bunch of pawns on dark squares. Let's play the tempo gainer move first. Yeah, and then if rook f7, maybe bishop h3. Attacking this weak e6 pawn. So now that he had pushed f6, e6 is vulnerable. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. I'm recording this on a Friday, and yeah, not much going on in my neck of the woods. It's been kind of a gloomy last few days. I was thinking about playing golf one of these days because I haven't been out yet this year, and I do like to play golf. But the weather is not cooperating too well. Chess and golf kind of go hand in hand, I've found. Golf is a game of timing and technique, and chess is very much those two things as well. A vast simplification of both games, but I've also found those are two type of activities, sports, whatever you want to call them, that your enjoyment of them increases with your skill. Like golf is a pretty frustrating game if you're new to it and you just like can't hit the ball whatsoever. You get really frustrated quickly. Okay, he plays bishop c8 and guards e6. And chess can be like that too for some people. I know a lot of people just give up the game quickly because they don't feel like they have any grasp of it whatsoever, and they're just moving pieces around at random. Okay, I'd really like to get my pawn up to f4, but maybe I need to connect my rooks first. We could play knight d2, but I think I'm just going to play queen e2, and maybe rook fd1 next. He actually plays e5. Okay. So he's going for a light square bishop trade. Well, let's agree to that. And play rook fd1, just attack the d6 pawn. I could sink my rook in on d5 if I wanted. Why don't we do that? Well, it's a weird way to double up. Now let's just play. Let's just play rook d2. Easier move. Rook d5 is flashy, but there's no reason to believe that d5 is better than d2. Idea of rook d5 is that if knight takes, I could take with one of the pawns and fork his other knight on c6. Would have been nice to play rook d3 so I have a chance of tripling on the d file and attacking the d pawn, but if I had done that, then c4 was hanging. So I need my queen defending that pawn. Let's play h4. This feeling, yeah, knight g8. e4 is kind of weak, but again, they can't really attack it. Let's go king up to g2. Maybe h5 to come. I don't really want to push b5 because if I push b5, then they get their knight to a5 and c4 is again weakened. h5 should be okay though. h5, g5. Is there any possibility of taking with my bishop? Looks kind of reckless. How else do I get play? It's kind of like I have a good position, but I don't know how to increase the pressure right now. Huh. Could bring my rook up to d5 once again. Taking on c5 doesn't do anything. Sort of like I'm out of pawn breaks. Okay, I'm still going to play this. I think they're going to play g5 and then try to play h6 and maybe f5 eventually. Okay, let's do this. My knight isn't really doing anything, so maybe I can sneak in g4 and then f3, knight f1, knight g3, knight f5 eventually. Still, the position is incredibly locked down. I'm going to do this. I like putting the knight on g3 now, though, because at a moment's notice, it can jump into f5. It's a vulnerable square, and they might have more difficulties getting into f4 just based on their setup right now. I control the g6 square, which would be an entry point to f4. They'd have to move their queen if they want to get a knight into e6, and that's hard to do because the d8 square is currently occupied by one of their rooks. The big question will be, can I really do much after I've played my knight up to g3? Because now, right around here, I've made like almost all of the, I don't know, obvious-looking moves in building up my position. If knight e7, I wonder if I can sack the exchange on the square. Just leave my rook. It's very tempting. Like a move like queen c2. Not going to risk it yet. I can't stand to think about it either for too long. I need an inroad. Okay, new plan. I might bring the knight to e3 instead. Thinking that might be an option. I could play knight f5 whenever I want, but they take it. I take with the e pawn. I might get into e4, but I'm just not sure. Maybe this way, like once I bring my knight to e3, my queen is freed up. Maybe I can probe on the queen side. It's not much, but if I bring my queen to a4, their knight on c6 feels a lot less stable. The time is a big factor right now, of course, both at about a minute. Okay, let's just continue maneuvering. So queen a4 is what I have in mind. I don't think their king is so well placed right here. Now I'm maybe threatening some stuff on d6 too eventually. For the moment, there's nothing. Let's keep probing. Maybe a4, a5 is a possibility. Let's try it. Don't get my queen trapped. That would be bad. Don't do that, John. But a4, a5. I want to take down their pawn structure. They're so solid on the pawns right now. I need to dismantle that. Let's attack the knight. Let's bring the knight up to f5. Lots of stuff coming on d6 now. They can't easily exchange this. I guess they could play knight e7. Knight e7, maybe it's getting time to take. Take, b takes. Where is my knockout? Don't quite see it. Going back. It's getting low on time. Okay, a5. Let's do it. Just going to let me take. I think I can take this. Yeah, he has 3 seconds left, too.
Time warning.
Yeah, there's nothing to be done, really. Okay. So that was a maneuvering struggle. I like the position that I established once I was able to close off the king side. So h5 was a necessary move because if I don't play that, I think there's a good chance they play h5 and I can't create anything on the king side. Let's go have a look. So English. I had mentioned that knight h6 is a possibility here. There was a game in the Short versus Kasparov match where Short played the English from the white side, and he actually did that. He played knight h3, knight f4, and Kasparov made a enterprising pawn sacrifice in reply. That game is worth looking at. So my opponent played d6, and I played a3, e6, b4. So if they take, this is kind of what Kasparov did actually. If they take, white has some compensation in that the a and the b files are open. Also, white has one uninterrupted pawn mass, whereas black has two pawn islands. So I think there's compensation here. I probably would just play castles or maybe d4. It's a bit nebulous, but for a blitz game, I think it's plenty. So he decided to play knight to e7, just playing solid instead. I castled, giving him another chance at the b pawn, but now I defended it. Yeah, and b6 looks like it's asking for b5 followed by a knight discovery, but there's nothing really to be had. In fact, if this and the knight a5, I have difficulties defending this pawn because I can't play d3 without dropping the knight, is the issue. So instead I played e3, getting ready for d4, and he took. It makes the game interesting to take on c3. I'm not sure it's the best move. The computer prefers a direct central break through d5. B takes c5, d takes c4, queen c2. Not a line that makes much sense. Sometimes black can do that, though, even after they play d6. Just immediately try to break in the center with d5. But he took. So now I have the bishop pair, but he's hoping that my pawn structure and the closed nature of the position trends in his favor. But now I go e4, I get the bishop outside the chain. I do block in my light square bishop a little bit, but I assigned it to h3. Went bishop c8. So for the moment, black is solid. Kind of reminds me of a Nimzo Indian position. Yeah, he's establishing pawns on dark squares to make up for the absence of his dark square bishop. The computer thinks I should keep my light square bishop, bishop back to g2. I just wasn't sure it was really going to do much, whereas I thought his bishop could settle on e6, attacking my c4 pawn if I didn't trade. It seemed to me like this would be a nice home for it, and the engine still prefers white, but I don't know. I need more pawn support in order to play this position. I need to go like f4 or something soon. Move my knight and play f4. So I just swapped. He took with the queen, rook f d1. I was leery of black trying to play g5 in an effort to trap the bishop, but it's not in too much danger at the moment. I saw that I could always, if necessary, play h4 and force the g5 pawn to move if I want to get it out. He played queen e6, and I went and doubled up on the d file. h4, bishop back to e3. The problem for black is they don't have much to do. They have to be very wary of opening the position further, so they're not going to be making moves like c takes b4 or f5 even. If the position opens up even slightly, I think white's superiority in the piece department and coordination will become apparent. Also, black's weaknesses on the dark squares. They'd rather keep these pawns fixed to the dark squares to restrict my bishop. So as I see it, that's black's problem here, is the fact that it's hard for them to do a whole lot. They have to stay in a closed position and hope for the best. So maybe I should have played h5 even sooner than I did. I can see the engine was liking it here. Because I played king g2. It looks like a good move. It just controls h3, allows the rook to swing over if necessary. But it does allow them to play h5 too. And in view of what happened, maybe they should take that opportunity. Because I think the pawn structure transformation that took shape after h5, g5, knight h2, followed by g4, knight f1, that must be in white's favor. Because now I don't have to worry at all about the king side. Their knights have nowhere to infiltrate unless they can get a knight to e6, as I mentioned. But the weakness of that d6 square keeps their play in check. I probably should have gone directly for e3. I had my sights set on the f5 square, but going to e3 is better because, let's just say they continue doing what they did in the game. Then I have options of both squares. That only dawned on me after I already had my knight on g3. I was like, oh, e3 would have been a better square. But fortunately, in these closed positions, the value of one tempo, one move is not so significant most of the time. So you can afford to reroute your pieces, kind of putter around a little bit, and you're not going to get punished for it. As you can see, black is just moving their knight back and forth. And I don't want to touch the pawn structure, because if I ever play b5, they get their knight to a5. Taking is kind of out of the question unless I do it for a very specific purpose. And likewise for black, they don't want to initiate a trade because that would allow me to undouble. They probably don't even want to play a5. Although a5 would be interesting, because a5, I can play b5, and probably the weakness of this pawn is trouble for them. Although I don't know, because now the pawn structure is completely locked down. Like, yes, they have certain weaknesses, the d5, f5 squares, and the b6 and d6 pawns, but can white get at that? Remains to be seen. This plus 0.8 advantage isn't going to mean much if the engine can't suggest a decent plan for white. Maybe they should play a5. Unless it fails for a tactical reason. Knight d5. Okay, just attacking this. Because, yeah, as white, when black plays a5, I don't have to be in a hurry to play b5 and close it down. I would probably welcome exchanges. I mean, even if I had to play something like rook b2 to defend the pawn, that's probably good for me. Keep the tension. Because we've already established that opening the position up is not in black's favor. So knight e7, I went queen d3. I was just happy with my knight on e3. It helps defend the c4 pawn. It takes a load off my queen. So now I can start probing on the queen side with this piece. Queen gets into a6, kind of eyeing the rook on c8. Yeah, and a4. So my plan was to bust up their pawn structure. Play a5. Knight c6, I went queen b5. I avoided a trade. I guess I could take on e7. I just avoided the trade on principle with 30-some seconds left. Also, they were very low on time. Yeah, realistically, I think black has to start playing faster a few moves back. So a5, rook d7. Yeah, now he's essentially flagging, but we are at plus 3.5, 3 or something. Knight d5, and he flagged. At this point, I think it's winning for white. The queen side is coming opened, and I have my bishop and pawn and queen attacking c5, so that looks like it's going to give pretty soon. So, to me, the most interesting question is, where did black lose this game? Well, I'm pretty sure if they could play this over, they would have played h5 sooner. Maybe even right around here after my bishop comes back, to dissuade me from expanding. Because once I was able to make use of that f5 square, black had almost no counterplay. So maybe they want to keep open options of playing f5 themselves. It's tough, though, because h5, I mean, if ever f5 is played, that g5 square is permanently weakened, isn't it? Like, they can no longer put their pawn on h6. And this position looks reasonable for them still. But if you just click through the moves, white's advantage just continues to grow. And the best part for white is, like, I don't have to take any risks here. There's nothing black can do to open the position that's any good. They're tied down to d6. I can just maneuver around, probe with my knight. If they're able to exchange a pair of knights and the position remained the same, that would be the best thing for them. This is very similar to a game I played against this guy, Fido2222 in Standard several days ago, about a week ago, actually. I was on the black side of Nimzo-Indian, almost identical pawn structure. And it was the same thing, like my opponent's knight was giving me problems. It was, in fact, like the only piece that could really do any damage. And this is the case here, too. White's knight being able to jump into d5 or f5 at a moment's notice gives black a lot of grief. And a main takeaway from this, I think, also is in these closed positions, it's better to think in terms of plans rather than individual moves. I mean, you don't want to like blunder a tactic or something because you were not paying attention to the individual moves. But you can see, like, the fact that I brought my knight to g3 and then later decided, like, oh, maybe it's not so good on g3, let's bring it to e3 instead where it has more options. That's something you can get away with in these positions. It's a slow position. White controls whether the position will be closed or open. So we can take liberties with our setup. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll be back tomorrow with another Blitz game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.